Chapter 4:11 The Overbearing Wang Dun. Buzz buzz buzz. Just after the 8 contestants entered the 4 array orbs, the array suddenly went dark. The entire sphere of light became invisible. People outside have no way of seeing what's going on inside. There's no need to worry, because after just one breath, an image will be projected onto the array's light membrane. In other words, while no one can clearly see the actions of the 2 sides in the battle, they can still observe the action through this image. Moreover, the image is particularly large, making it easier to see clearly. That's enough. The reason for creating this array image on the sacred mountain was to prevent viewers from penetrating the array with their divine senses and affecting the jewel inside. Moreover, this also made it easier for everyone to see clearly. You don't need divine sense, just your eyes. He Pingxing's gaze fell on the first sphere of light. The image above shows the battle between Xianxia and Wang Dun. Not only are there images, but you can also hear their voices. Hehehe. Xianxia chuckled coldly and said, "The contestants from the Virgin Kingdom went to a bunch of women. Wang Dun, you really have no shame. Now I finally know who you are. So you're the one who escaped from the state of Qi, the legendary person suspected of having great destiny." Wang Dun said calmly, "That's right." Xianxia said, "You said a few days ago that you would defeat me within 5 moves. Wang Dun said, "That's right." Xianxia laughed heartily, Wang Dun, I don't know what kind of heavenly tribulation you have, but when I was undergoing my tribulation, it was the 8th or 9th heavenly tribulation. You can't possibly have the 9th or 9th heavenly tribulation, can you? According to legend, only 2 kinds of things can bring down the 9 heavenly tribulation. One type is those who defy the heavens too much, and are thus intolerable to the will of heaven. The second type is those who have committed heinous crimes and are destined to be killed by heaven. Regardless of which one it is, death is inevitable. Legend has it that the 9 heavenly tribulation is a calamity that will surely kill you. Of course, it's all just a legend. Nobody knows for sure whether it's actually true. Throughout the entire cultivation world, from ancient times to the present, there has never been any record of the 9 heavenly tribulation. Since I, Xianxia, am undergoing the 8th or 9th heavenly tribulation, then you, Wang Dun, are at most an 8th or 9th heavenly prodigy. If it were the 9th or 9th heavenly tribulation, you wouldn't be able to survive either. We're both at the 8th or 9th heavenly tribulation stage. What makes you think you can defeat me in 5 moves? You've been talking too much nonsense. Wang Dun glanced at Xianxia and said, "Are you ready? If you are, I'm about to make my move." Xianxia took a step forward, covering dozens of feet, and then retreated. The 2 fought their final battle in a valley. It is surrounded by mountains and lush trees. There is also a babbling brook. All right. After taking a step back, Xianxia stood in the void, looking down at Wang Dun, and said, "Wang Dun, I'll let you make the first move. You can make your move now." Wang Dun, of course, didn't waste any words. He slightly extended his right hand. Rumble. Immediately, a fiery red flame burst forth from his right arm. The Taoist robe on his right arm was burned to ashes in an instant. Wang Dun's dark skin was revealed, and on that dark yet smooth and supple skin, fiery red lines slowly emerged, as if they had been set on fire, winding from the back of his hand to his forearm, and then spreading from his forearm to his entire arm. "Dee!" Wang Dun shouted and threw a punch at Xianxia, who was dozens of feet away in the void. Boom! A tremendous force, mixed with the power of laws, slammed towards Xianxia. Wang Dun's body also rushed towards Xiao Xuanfei like an arrow released from a bow. In front of him, flames swirled, and a 3-jonglong red fist materialized, smashing towards Xianxia as if it were a tangible object. "Well done," Xianxia said, "indeed very strong, it can even lock onto the void." That's right. Wang Dun's attack contained not only the power of fire attribute rules, but also the power of spatial rules. Although it cannot truly lock onto the void, it can still disrupt the space around Xianxia, making it virtually impossible for him to escape using teleportation. We have no choice but to fight. Water overcomes fire. Freeze. Xianxia was also prepared. His spiritual power circulated wildly and transformed into ice pillars that rose up in front of him in the next moment. Dozens of enormous ice pillars, like dozens of small mountain peaks, blocked Wang Dun's path. Of course, these ice pillars contain not only ice attribute spiritual power, but also ice attribute rule power. Using water to extinguish fire is correct. However, a slight smile appeared on Wang Dun's lips. Bang, bang, bang. His massive fire attribute fist shattered more than a dozen ice pillars in one go. However, the spiritual power and laws of fire came to an end. The three-jong fist that had just been formed also collapsed directly. But his body did not stop. Instead, it continued to move forward. He used his bare fist to smash directly onto the ice pillar. Bang! He pierced the next icicle, creating a hole in the ice, and Wang Dun's body passed through it. Then, bang! 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 The second, the third, the fourth. With lightning speed, in less than a breath, Wang Dun shattered all the ice pillars one after another, as if destroying dry branches and decaying wood. Then, his powerful fist slammed into the unsuspecting Xianxia. Puff! Xianxia immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Then his body flew backward like a kite with a broken string, and landed hard on the cliff behind him. Before he could stand up, Wang Dun leaped into the void, and his second punch, like a shadow, came crashing down again. Everyone who saw this was stunned. He Pingsheng was no exception. That's incredible. Wang Dun was too powerful. He Pingsheng figured out the trick. His attack just now, which seemed to be fire-based, was actually not. Beneath its fire attribute exterior, Wang Dun's attack was actually pure power. That's right. It possesses no power related to the 5 elements. It is pure power. Who? He Pingsheng suddenly felt immense pressure. Is this guy also a body cultivator? Moreover, this body refining technique looks even more powerful than mine. I surrender. As Wang Dun's second punch landed on him, and Xianxia had no way to defend himself, he had no choice but to shout out the word surrender. Surrender or die. Alternatively, they could use their magical artifacts for defense. However, in reality, Xianxia didn't even have the chance to use his magic weapon. Boom! Wang Dun's fist veered off course and slammed into the rocks beside him. Because he used too much force, he punched a huge hole through the cliff, and then Wang Dun was thrown into the mountain by his own force. A large, human-shaped ravine was left on the rock. Thud! Ah! Puff, puff, puff. The audience couldn't help but burst into laughter at Wang Dun's comical antics. Only the people of Qi had dark complexions. They couldn't laugh. Because Xianxia was defeated. Xianxia was the face of the Qi kingdom and its #1 cultivator. So they've already lost. He was defeated. Who can stop Wang Dun now? Brothers, it's been tough getting up so early. Let's send some greetings. Chapter 4:12 A good man doesn't fight with a woman. He Pingsheng's gaze dampened the spirits of the Qi kingdom. The leader of the Qi kingdom's camp, an elder at the nascent soul stage, did not come, but all 12 of his disciples did. 10 participants and 2 substitutes. Besides these 12 people, there is one more person. He Pingsheng recognized this man. He was the one with graying temples, named Daoist Long Yuan. He knew this person all too well. When He Pingsheng looked at Daoist Long Yuan also looked at him. The two looked at each other for 2 breaths, then looked away. At this moment, Wang Dun and Xianxia also emerged from the formation. Wang Dun looked smug, while Xianxia looked angry and frustrated. The female nascent soul cultivator in charge of hosting the competition spoke up at this moment, saying, "The competition between the Qi kingdom and the Xianxia kingdom on the first arena has been decided. I hereby declare the Xianxia kingdom the winner of the first match. Wang Dun, I ask you, for this second round, will you continue the challenge, or will you fight again tomorrow? If you choose to continue the challenge, there will be a break of about half an incense stick's time in between. After the rest, we can proceed with the second round of the competition." The woman looked at Wang Dun. Wang Dun raised his hand and shouted, Continue. All right. The woman smiled slightly at Wang Dun and waved her hand, saying, "Please rest." After speaking, the woman looked at the Qi camp and said, "Qi's second-round participants, please prepare yourselves. The competition will begin after half an incense stick has burned." Wang Dun took out some kind of pill and swallowed it. Half an incense stick later, he stepped onto the arena again. This time, he was facing the second-best person in Qi, who was also at the 12th level of the Golden Core stage and had reached the Golden Core stage. His fighting ability was not weak. Because Xiaoxian had suffered a loss before, he took the initiative as soon as he went up and suppressed Wang Dun for 3 moves. Wang Dun was stronger than him after all, and after 3 moves, the tables turned. After a few more moves, Wang Dun won. Wang Dun won 2 consecutive matches, but the outcome of the other 3 formations was still undecided. Continue. After Wang Dun came out, he rested for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn before continuing the fight. They played 4 matches in a row. The state of Qi could not hold out any longer. Qi admits defeat. Long Yuan's face was extremely grim. He stood up, signifying that the state of Qi had conceded defeat. The phrase Qi concedes defeat means that Qi has lost a major battle. The remaining 6 disciples do not need to compete. Thus ended the battle between the Kingdom of Maidens and the Kingdom of Qi. He knew he was no match for Wang Dun, so he might as well concede and preserve his strength to deal with the second major battle ahead. 10 days later, their second major match would be against the state of Liang. Let's go. With a dark expression, Long Yuan led all the cultivators from Qi Kingdom away, returning to their own villa. Upon entering the main hall, everyone remained silent. Long Yuan stared at Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian said, "I was tricked by that scoundrel Wang Dun. If I had another chance, I would definitely beat him." "You can't defeat him." Long Yuan shook his head and said, "He should be that person with great fortune. Back when we tested his fortune in Dingxiang County, it was basically confirmed that he has the 9 dragons fortune. Even with the royal prison under heavy security, this person managed to escape, which shows just how capable he is. Don't be discouraged, he. It's normal that you can't beat him." Long Yuan walked over and patted Xiaoxian on the shoulder. "So what if you lost a match? When we get back, when we win the next 7 games, we'll still be among the top teams. By the way." Long Yuan's expression turned serious. "Especially the battle against Liang in 10 days, that's the most crucial. Only victory is allowed, defeat is not permitted. Not all countries have stakes involved. However, the states of Liang and Qi had a stake of 1 entire prefecture, a stake that was extremely high. Of course, there were also other disputes. Don't worry." Xiaoxian said, "Next time, when the Liang people take the stage, I alone can sweep them all away." Hehehe. The Liang kingdom really has no talent left. They actually brought in a guy at the 6th level of the Golden Core stage to act as a figurehead. He thought of He Pingsheng. Long Yuan also thought of He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng is also a man of some means, but he always relies on external forces to cheat. Without the talismans and all the magical treasures, his combat power will probably be greatly reduced. Especially since they were short of the sharpshooter that day, he can't use it this time. Be vigilant, but don't worry too much. After watching the first day of the competition, He Pingsheng did not go again. He would stay in his small building every day, constantly meditating, swallowing pills, and practicing Taoism. Make good use of your spare time. For He Pingsheng, watching the matches in the ring was basically pointless. 10 days passed quickly. Finally, it was the turn of Qi and Liang to fight. Let's go. Ancestor Zhenyu led everyone to the arena for the second time. This time, the battle between Liang and Qi will take place on the 4th arena. Meanwhile, the Virgin Kingdom was left empty-handed. Although the Virgin Kingdom was not in session, Wang Dun still came. He chuckled and ran over to He Pingsheng, sitting down beside him. "Brother, how about it? Are you confident?" He Pingsheng said, "I'm 10th in line, so theoretically it should be my turn on the 10th day." My dear reader, There's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Not necessarily. Hehehe. Wang Dun said, actually, Xiaoxian's strength is not weak. He should be second only to me. Apart from me, almost no one else on this stage can beat him. If he beats your first one, then he'll keep challenging you. Well, maybe it'll be your turn today. He Pingxing nodded, that's certainly possible. Let's wait. However, thinking about it, it would be quite difficult for Xiaoxian to challenge 10 of them in one go. There needs to be something to add, doesn't it? Participants in today's competition, please enter the designated arena and begin your matches. The female nascent soul who was hosting the competition said something, and then revealed the signs for the various arenas. Xiaoxian was the first to enter the fourth arena. Chen Jiashan looked a little nervous, but he still went to the fourth ring. Hey, who do you think will win? Liang Huaqiu, who was sitting next to He Pingxing, suddenly turned her head and asked. She seemed even more nervous than Chen Jiashan, who had just entered the ring. He Pingxing said, I don't know either, but I hope Chen Jiashan can win. Unlikely. Wang Dun shook his head and said, I think it should be Xiaoxian. Shut up. Liang Huaqiu looked at Wang Dun with a sharp expression. I didn't ask you. Hey. Wang Dun grinned and said, Little vixen, you really have no manners. Brother, I remember you have a wife. When did you kidnap another woman? I told you to shut up. Liang Huaqiu was really angry this time, and she stood up abruptly. All right. Wang Dun said, a good man doesn't argue with a woman. I'll shut up. Chapter 4:13 Dragon Abyss Sophistry you say. Liang Huaqiu looked at He Pingxing, asking him to make a judgment. He Pingxing said, I can't really explain it either. First of all, I don't know Chen Jiashan's strength, and secondly, I don't know Xiaoxian's current strength either. Just then, images appeared on the 4-array light membranes on the platform. All eyes turned to them. The Liang Kingdom cultivators naturally focused their attention on the last platform. Xiaoxian and Chen Jiashan had already begun fighting. This time, Xiaoxian was no longer as arrogant as he had been when facing Wang Dun. Instead, he fought cautiously and flawlessly. In this situation, Chen Jiashan appeared to be at a disadvantage. It's over. Ancestor Zhenyu frowned and said, this guy from Qi is so powerful. Bang! With a single sentence from Ancestor Zhenyu, Chen Jiashan was blasted away. Then, faced with Xiaoxian's supernatural power of 7 arrows falling from the sky, he had no choice but to surrender. Xiaoxian became the first victor in this grand event. Chen Jiashan stepped down from the stage, looking dejected. He bowed to Ancestor Zhenyu and said, I'm sorry, Senior. I've done my best. But this guy's supernatural abilities are particularly strange. He seems to be able to manipulate the power of the 5 elements, which is always at odds with me. When I fight him, I always feel restricted and unable to use my skills. What he said makes sense. Zhenyu was quite open-minded. He smiled and said, it's all right. Xiaoxian has an empty spiritual root. It is formless and shapeless, yet it has countless forms and appearances, so he can simulate any attribute of spiritual root. It's understandable that you can't beat him. Chen Jiashan glanced at Wang Dun, and the more he looked, the more terrified he became. Wang Dun was able to defeat Xiaoxian with just 2 punches, leaving him no chance to fight back and forcing him to surrender. His fighting prowess is evident. After looking at Wang Dun, Chen Jiashan glanced at He Pingxing and said, perhaps only fellow Daoist he can turn the tide. The scene of He Pingxing tearing apart a grade 3 defensive array with a single strike was still vivid in my mind. Zhenyu smiled and looked at He Pingxing, saying, I believe he can do it. Xiaoxian of Qi. At this moment, the nascent soul cultivator presiding over the competition asked, will you accept the challenge tomorrow, or continue? Xiaoxian won. Now it's up to him to decide. Everyone looked at Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian on the stage smiled coldly and uttered 2 words, continue. All right, the host said. Please take a break for half an incense stick's time. The second in line from Liang Kingdom, please also prepare. Half an incense stick later, the second in command of the Liang Kingdom, the ascetic, stepped onto the stage and engaged in a fierce battle with Xianxia. This time, after only 6 round trips, the ascetic was trampled underfoot by Xianxia. Continue. Xiaoxian's loud voice echoed across the arena. At this point, everyone realized that it wasn't that Xiaoxian was too weak, but rather that the opponent he faced was very strong. The reason why we were crushed by Wang Dun 10 days ago was simply because Wang Dun was too strong. During the break, the gray-haired Taoist Long Yuan arrived in Liang Kingdom's territory. He politely cupped his hands to Zhenyu and said, "Junior Long Yuan of Qi Kingdom greets Senior Zhenyu." Zhenyu said, "Long Yuan, I've also heard of your great name. Please sit down." "Yes." Long Yuan carefully sat down opposite Ancestor Zhenyu and said, "This junior has a favor to ask." Zhenyu said, "You speak." Long Yuan took a deep breath and said, "According to the usual rules, the purpose of the 9 Kingdoms tournament is to resolve the century-old disputes and karmic entanglements between the 2 countries at the lowest possible cost. Your Redstone County originally belonged to our Qi Kingdom. It's just that 1200 years ago, we lost to your Liang Kingdom, and since then, the Qi Kingdom has had no one to take it back. Therefore, this time, our Qi Kingdom will definitely take back Xianxia County. Of course, if you can defeat us, this Shandong Prefecture will be yours as well." Ancestor Zhenyu nodded. This matter has already been decided by the public. When the state of Qi lost Xianxia County, it was because the state of Liang had a peerless genius, Liang Tianjian. Liang Tianjian once single-handedly suppressed the other 8 kingdoms in the 9 Kingdoms Grand Tournament. There's nothing we can do, he's just too strong. Unfortunately, Liang Tianjian later disappeared. However, in subsequent competitions, the state of Qi was never able to reclaim the Redstone County. And there's more. Daoist Long Yuan continued, "Actually, the conflicts in our Liang Kingdom are not limited to these." "Oh." Zhenyu frowned slightly and said, "What other disputes are there? Tell me." "Yes." Long Yuan said, "You 2 people from Liang, Qiao Huizhu and He Pingxing, were originally from Qi. Therefore, after this competition concludes, please return these 2 individuals to the state of Qi." "That is wrong." Zhenyu refused immediately, saying, "Absolutely not. In the cultivation world, although cultivators may be from different countries, they ultimately take the Great Tao as their mission. Even if they are from your Qi Kingdom has no right to detain the freedom of cultivators. This matter is written into the 9-Nation Convention, granting He Pingxing and Xiao Huizhu absolute freedom to travel to any country in the world. If you are not satisfied, you may go to the Holy Mountain and seek judgment from the 2 Holy Lords." Long Yuan said, "All right, then let's not talk about this anymore." Long Yuan never expected this proposal to pass, because it didn't make sense. However, the reason he still brought it up was as a tactic of advancing as a form of retreat. As for the conditions, I'll start with an outrageous one. If you don't agree, then I'll propose a less outrageous one. Senior Zhenyu may already know why we want He Pingxing." Long Yuan said, "It's nothing more than that this little thief He Pingxing stole the heavenly deficiency divine spear from our Qi Kingdom's royal family. We, the state of Qi, will investigate this matter thoroughly. Either arrest He Pingxing on charges of theft, or settle the matter today with this 9 Kingdoms Grand Tournament." Long Yuan continued to bow respectfully, saying, "Senior Zhenyu, I hope you can understand this matter." Zhenyu, unaware of the details, could only say, "Please wait a moment while I call He Pingxing over." Soon, He Pingxing came over. "He Pingxing." Long Yuan looked at him and said, "In the Divine General Mountain, you took away the heavenly deficiency divine spear of my Qi Kingdom. Many people saw this, and you even used the spear later. Am I right?" He Pingxing said, "That's right, it really happened." "Good." Long Yuan said, "Before the opening of Divine General Mountain, I said that entering the secret realm was for you to comprehend the spear's intent and find rare and precious materials, but I did not say that you were to take away the divine spear. This spear belongs to the ancestors of the Qi state. Please return it. He Pingxing sneered and said, I found it in the secret realm, which is my opportunity. If you were reasonable, Senior Long Yuan, you wouldn't have asked me for the divine spear. Impossible. Long Yuan shook his head. Even if you don't give it to me today, my Qi kingdom will keep demanding it from you in the future. Thus, this cause and effect continues. How about this? Since this is a matter between Liang and Qi, let's resolve it all during this 9 Kingdoms tournament. What do you think? Chapter 4:14 The concubine was beaten. Of course, this is just a suggestion. You can agree or you can disagree. Long Yuan smiled and looked at He Pingxing. If you agree, we'll have the host act as a witness, and from now on, the cause and effect will be severed. He Pingxing understood what he meant. Even if Qi wins, the heavenly spear will be returned to Long Yuan. If Liang wins, Qi will never mention the heavenly spear again. Will you agree or not? He Pingxing. Seeing He Pingxing hesitate, Long Yuan said, I know that you have defeated Xianxia twice before. I also know that you once broke through the defenses of the 10th dragon platform in Liang Kingdom with a single blow. You're very strong, you wouldn't be afraid, would you? Long Yuan looked at He Pingxing. He had already investigated He Pingxing's battles thoroughly. He knew He Pingxing was very strong. But, he was still willing to gamble, and still believed that Xianxia would win. Because Long Yuan had carefully studied all of He Pingxing's battles, he summarized a pattern. He Pingxing is very strong. Every time he kills someone of a higher level or in a battle, he most likely uses talismans, magic weapons, and the like. To put it bluntly, it relied mostly on external forces. Now, external forces are not allowed on the fighting stage. Furthermore, regarding He Pingxing breaking the 3rd grade defensive formation, yes, he did. However, it wasn't that Xianxia couldn't break through it. They had tested it before, and Xianxia could easily break through a 3rd grade defensive formation. Finally, what Xianxia was most worried about was He Pingxing's poison attack. It doesn't matter. They also made some preparations. Before that, Xianxia had already mastered a set of poison-avoiding techniques provided by the Qi royal family, which could be used to counter He Pingxing's poison attribute spells at critical moments. With such preparations, how could we possibly lose? Of course, it doesn't matter if he really loses, because the heavenly deficiency divine spear is already on He Pingxing's person, and it's really not easy to get it. Regardless of He Pingxing's choice or the outcome, Long Yuan's scheme is at least not a loss. He looked at He Pingxing with a smile. He Pingxing calmly nodded, okay. He agreed. He Pingxing didn't want the state of Qi to keep asking him for guns endlessly in the future. Who exactly does this heavenly deficiency divine spear belong to? It's really hard to say. After all, this is the ancestral treasure of the state of Qi. If people keep sending waves of people to fight for it, even the state of Liang can't directly step in to protect it. Since that's the case, why not fight today and secure the ownership of this divine spear? If the state of Qi admits that the gun belongs to He Pingxing, then that would be perfect. Good. Long Yuan laughed heartily and said, then let the Holy Mountain act as a notary. Soon, the Holy Mountain incorporated the terms concerning the heavenly deficiency divine spear into the dispute between the Qi and Liang states. Once the outcome is decided, the dust settles. Bang! Liang Guo ranked 3rd, but was knocked out of the formation by Xianxia. Boom! Boom! Bang! Xianxia never stopped. After each attack, he only needed to rest for a short while before moving on to the next one. Of the 10 contestants from Liang, he quickly defeated 8 of them. The 9th one was Princess Liang Huaqiu of Qinghe. Be careful. Zhenyu glanced at Liang Huaqiu and said, if you can't beat them, surrender quickly. I know. Liang Huaqiu leaped onto the arena. It's actually a woman. Xianxia grinned maliciously when he saw Liang Huaqiu enter the arena. You can't beat me, just surrender. That'll let me just kill that piece of trash behind you. He was referring to He Pingxing. However, Liang Huaqiu coldly declared, Emperor Liang Tiangang. The first move is the most powerful killing blow. Rumble. A golden barrier instantly formed around Liang Huaqiu's body. Countless golden spiritual powers and energies transformed into points of light, converging towards Liang Huaqiu's body. The Heavenly Gang of Emperor Liang was the signature skill of the Liang royal family. This is a divine power. It has no offensive capabilities, but it can enhance the power of the Liang Emperor's Heavenly Gang by increasing its strength by 50%. That's how powerful they are. Xianxia was not idle either. When Emperor Liang uses the Heavenly Gang technique, there is a casting time, which lasts for about a few breaths. During this time, the caster cannot attack the opponent. The opponent can attack the caster or take the opportunity to escape. This is arguably the biggest drawback of Emperor Liang's Heavenly Gang. However, this was a fighting arena, and Xianxia had nowhere to escape. Therefore, he has no choice but to fight. Slash. Xianxia waved his hand, condensing 7 long arrows with wood attribute spiritual power, and then blasted them at Liang Huaqiu in succession. As a result, the outer layer of Liang Emperor's heavenly qi was extremely powerful and actually blocked Xianxia's attack. Seeing this, everyone in Liang Kingdom breathed a sigh of relief. He Pingxing nodded. When he fought with Liang Huaqiu, he also tried to break her spell, but he couldn't. It must be said that this Emperor Liang Tiangang was truly extremely domineering. The Liang Emperor's Heavenly Gang is an extremely powerful high-level divine ability. Ancestor Zhenyu said calmly, "It's a pity that this girl's skill is shallow. To unleash the full power of this divine ability, she would have to use up all her magic power at once. In this way, the power of a single strike can be increased by 50%. If we can kill Xianxia, that would be fine. But if we can't, then we're in trouble. Because for about 10 breaths after using it, the girl will be unable to fight." My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. Ancestor Zhenyu spoke in a low voice, speaking to his own people. After a few breaths, Liang Huaqiu's Liang Emperor Heavenly Gang technique was completed. She radiated a faint golden light, like a celestial maiden descending to earth, and then said, "Xianxia, you can surrender now, otherwise you will regret it when I kill you later." It must be said that Liang Huaqiu also understood psychological attacks. But Xianxia unleashed a barrage of shields at once, saying, "Stop talking nonsense, come on." "Good." Liang Huaqiu pointed, sword, slash. Rumble. In the void, a golden giant sword, tens of feet long, suddenly appeared above Xianxia's head. With a single strike, the void is sealed off. At this moment, it was impossible for Xianxia to escape by teleportation. Fall. The giant sword, carrying immense sword energy, fell towards Xianxia's head. Unable to dodge, Xianxia could only channel all his spiritual power into defense, repeatedly reinforcing the shield with powerful bangs. Then he waved his hand again, Ice God Finger. A massive, 30-foot-long ice attribute finger appeared and collided with the golden sword imbued with the Heavenly Gang of Emperor Liang. Rumble. The massive energy fluctuations swept in all directions, transforming into ripples on the tide, and even carrying away the spellcaster Liang Huaqiu's body with a bang, slamming her heavily against the cliff. Phut. Liang Huaqiu suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. She lost. Of course, this was foreseeable. After all, even after she used the Liang Emperor's Heavenly Gang technique, she was only ranked 9th in the Liang Kingdom. How can I defeat Xianxia? Cough 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 cough. After stepping off the stage, Liang Huaqiu sat down next to He Pingxing with a pale face and said, "Your concubine was beaten up. Can you help me get her back?" Chapter 415. The terrifying fire crow Xianxia from the state of Qi has fought 9 matches in a row, defeating 9 people from the state of Liang. Now that Liang Kingdom has only 1 contestant left in this competition, Xianxia, would you like to choose to compete tomorrow, or continue? The host, dressed in black, looked at Xianxia. At the scene, countless people looked at Xianxia. Xianxia raised his proud chin. "Continue." "Okay." The host said, "Please rest for the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn." "No need." Xianxia waved his hand dismissively and said, Please invite He Pingsheng to the stage immediately. I can beat him too. Seeing He Pingsheng always inexplicably makes Xiao Xian lose his composure. All right. He Pingsheng stood up. He slowly walked down to the bottom of the arena, and then leaped into the massive formation. At that moment, He Pingsheng had a strange feeling, as if he had experienced an indescribable spatial transformation. The arena may not look very big from the outside, but once you get inside, you realize it's ridiculously large. Surrounded by rolling mountains and dense forests, a small river flows gently through the deep valley below. This is practically another world. This world is much larger than the world within the Great Freedom Pearl that He Pingsheng enhanced. When you come here, you can't help but admire the handwriting of the Holy Lord on the mountain. That's amazing. They actually threw a small world into this formation. It is said that the Holy Lord is proficient in the arts of space and time, which is truly unbelievable. The two of them stood in the void of this valley. Each occupies a corner of the void. No one started the fight. Xiao Xian chuckled and said, He Pingsheng, we meet again. I was defeated by you twice before, but this time, I will definitely not fail. Hehehe. I know you're very strong. But no matter how strong you are, you will still lose. He Pingsheng said, You've been talking too much nonsense. Can we begin? All right. Xiao Xian said, You can start anytime. Let me see what progress you've made over the years. Boom. Xiao Xian is not stupid. He did not launch an attack immediately. Instead, a layer of defense first appeared around his body, and then he held the magic seal in his hand, ready to launch an attack at any time. In that case, He Pingsheng would have no chance at all. Good. He Pingsheng smiled. Then, with a thought, he pointed his finger. Countless wood attribute spiritual energies erupted from his body, transforming into streaks of lush green poisonous thorns that enveloped Xiao Xian from all directions of the sky. He Pingsheng's wood attribute Dantian was almost completely drained. Within a radius of 30 feet, the area was densely covered with poisonous thorns that blotted out the sun. Of course, he's not afraid of emptying his Dantian, as he still has 4 full Dantians. What makes wood attribute attacks different from others is that they can be retracted. Thorns can be transformed into spiritual energy and reabsorbed into the body. Seeing this spectacular move, countless people outside were shocked. Regardless of its offensive power, this supernatural move is extremely impressive to watch. Puff. Puff puff puff. Countless brambles surrounded Xiao Xian, and then, from the brambles, dark green flowers bloomed, each flower spewing out several poisonous thorns. All the poisonous stingers were aimed at Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian didn't dodge. Laugh. Hiss hiss hiss. Tiny poisonous stingers pierced his skin. However, Xiao Xian laughed heartily and said, He Pingsheng, you used this move on me more than 70 years ago. It's useless now. Break for me. Rumble. Within Xiao Xian's body, a similar emerald green light burst forth. He then sprayed those poisonous stingers back out. Moreover, his body showed no signs of injury or poisoning. This. He Pingsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. You have a treasure that can ward off poison. Wrong. Xiao Xian said, Magic treasures are not allowed in the competition. This is my poison-avoiding divine ability. D. Ice, God, Finger. Countless water attribute immortal spiritual energies gathered from the surrounding area, instantly transforming into a giant finger. The finger was over 30 feet long, entirely formed from condensed ice. The enormous finger tore through He Pingsheng's thorny dragon-trapping barrier and slammed towards him with a deafening roar. He Pingsheng naturally dared not be negligent. Receive. He absorbed wood attribute spiritual energy while simultaneously circulating fire attribute energy in his Dantian. Bang! 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 12 fire crows gathered around him. Go! Each fire crow is several feet in size. Guided by He Pingsheng's divine sense, one after another rushed forward, crashing into the ice god finger in the void before them. Bang! The first fire crow crashed into the ice god's finger. After the violent energy fluctuation, the fire crow disappeared, and the ice god finger was blasted off by more than 5 jong. Boom! Bang! 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 Soon, one after another, the fire crows crashed into it. Even after the 30-foot-long ice god finger was completely shattered, there were still 6 fire crows left. The remaining 6 fire crows, like moths to a flame, flew towards Xianxia. Xianxia was not surprised. If He Pingsheng couldn't even withstand his ice god finger, then he wouldn't be in this 9 Kingdoms grand competition. With a wave of his hand, Xianxia unleashed his powerful spiritual energy once again, forming several protective shields. At the same time, he unleashed another divine power. 7 arrows fell from the Qianshan mountains. This time, it's an ice arrow. After managing to fend off the remaining 6 fire crows, Xianxia breathed a sigh of relief. But when he turned around, he saw a dense swarm of fire crows flying towards He Pingsheng's head again. He scanned the area with his divine sense and was completely stunned. There were 60 in total. Oh my God! Damn it! This 60. How can I block it? Run! This was Xianxia's first thought. Then he moved his feet and whooshed away from where he stood. This fire crow is a spell. Although it is infused with the power of fire attributes, it does not have the function of locking the void, so Xianxia can still escape without any problem. However, another attribute of the fire raven made him cough up blood. The fire raven is not an ordinary spell. If it misses, it will miss its target. Under He Pingsheng's divine will, this thing was like a living thing. If it missed its target, it could turn around and try again. 60 fire crows relentlessly pursued Xianxia, who kept fleeing. After a few breaths, the 60 fire crows suddenly changed direction. Each one locked onto Xianxia from a different direction, and then, like a caged dragon, it gave Xianxia no way out, crashing into him. Unlike He Pingsheng, he did not possess such powerful spiritual sense that he could teleport away in the blink of an eye. He needed to activate his teleportation ability in about 2 breaths. 2 breaths. He Pingsheng's fire crows could kill him 1,000 times over. Bang! 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 The streaks of fire crows crashed into Xianxia's defenses and his attacks. Xianxia's idea was simple, to use offense as defense. However, it didn't work. There were just too many fire crows. After Xianxia had exhausted almost all of his spiritual power, there were still more than 30 fire crows left. Stop, stop, stop. Surrender. He had no choice but to surrender. Otherwise, death is certain. The competition just now didn't involve any special skills. It was all about one thing, spiritual power. Whoever has the strongest spiritual power will win. Chapter 4 16 Threats and Fury Forehead. He Pingsheng from Liang. Oh. He Pingsheng defeated Xianxia from Qi. He Pingsheng, would you like to continue the competition tomorrow, or? The host looked at this guy, who was only at the 6th level of the Golden Core stage, with disbelief, and even his voice trembled slightly as he spoke. He Pingsheng said, "Let's continue." He has a break time of half an incense stick's time. A single drop of Icefield Dew or 2 sips of Golden Bee elixir can fully replenish the dantian. The battle with Xianxia just now was not easy. He almost exhausted 3 of his 5 dantian before he finally managed to deplete Xianxia's spiritual power. Xianxia is indeed ridiculously strong. I'm sorry. Daoist Longyuan stood up, cupped his hands to the host, and said, "Our Qi Kingdom has already fought 10 matches today, and it's getting late, so we've decided to continue the competition tomorrow." In a major competition, the 2 countries should theoretically only have 1 match per day. Although He Pingsheng agreed to continue the competition, if Longyuan disagreed, then the competition would naturally not be able to proceed. "Let's do it tomorrow." He Pingsheng nodded, "Okay." "All right then," the host could only say. "Let's have the competition again tomorrow. Everyone, go back and get some rest." Everyone withdrew. Back at the villa, Ancestor Zhenyu was very pleased. He looked at He Pingsheng and said, "Well done. The most difficult person in Qi Kingdom is Xianxia. Now that you have defeated Xianxia, the rest should not be a problem." "Yes." Liang Huaqiu replied with delight. Ancestor Zhenyu said, however, we cannot let our guard down. After all, the stakes between us and the Qi kingdom this time are too high, amounting to the ownership of an entire prefecture. Therefore, we cannot rule out the possibility that they might use some means. In the upcoming matches, we must prioritize stability. Did you remember? Ancestor Zhenyu looked at He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng said, yes. Please rest assured, Senior, I am very steady. That's good. Zhenyu waved his hand. You can all go and rest now. He Pingsheng returned to his small building. Liang Huaqiu followed them into the house. He Pingsheng, don't you have your own place to live? Why are you following me? I need to rest. TCH. Liang Huaqiu said, I am your first concubine. What's wrong with coming here? She looked at He Pingsheng with a smile, her proud face slightly tilted up, her beauty radiating pride. He Pingsheng ignored her, simply tossed out a pink futon, and then sat cross-legged on it. Hey, your cushion is quite cute. Liang Huaqiu said, let me sit on it. Why would a grown man like you wear pink? This is really interesting. He Pingsheng rolled his eyes at her and said, my wife gave it to me, is that not allowed? HMPH. Liang Huaqiu's little bottom, which had just sat down, jumped up as if it had been bitten by something, and said, He Pingsheng, you're really interesting. I'm ignoring you. Liang Huaqiu left in a huff. He Pingsheng breathed a sigh of relief, then reached out and covered his array layer by layer, took out a gathering yuan pill, and swallowed it in one gulp. Cultivation. We can't delay. But just as I sat down, another ripple came from outside. Wang Dun's voice came through, brother, open the door quickly. Judging from the sound, they seemed to be in a hurry. He Pingsheng opened the door and asked, Senior Brother Wang, what's wrong? Wang Dun hurriedly said, close the formation and speak. He Pingsheng quickly deactivated the formation, while Wang Dun took out a jade box. His face was ashen as he said, just now, that Qi Kingdom cultivator sent me something and asked me to give it to you. Brother, you'd better be prepared. Look. Click. Wang Dun opened the jade box, which was about a foot long. Inside, there was a pale, bluish arm. Hiss hiss hiss. Upon seeing the arm, He Pingsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he asked, what does this mean? I don't know. Wang Dun said, the person who delivered the item said to take a close look and see if you recognize whose arm this is. He Pingsheng's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling. Whose arm? Damn it. Could it be that they've found my wife, Xiao Huizhu? He walked over nervously, his gaze carefully falling on the arm. I picked it up and glanced at it. He Pingsheng breathed a sigh of relief. This is not the arm of his wife, Xiao Huizhu. He couldn't recognize whose arm it was, but a faint aura still lingered on it. He Pingsheng closed his eyes and took a deep sniff. The smell of blood is so strong. However, cultivators' spiritual sense and memory are far superior to those of ordinary people. Amidst the strong smell of blood, He Pingsheng still detected a familiar scent. His face turned ashen. Even his entire body was trembling. Junior brother, what's wrong? Wang Dun asked. Who is this? He Pingsheng closed his eyes, took 2 deep breaths, and then placed the arm intact in the jade box, saying, it is a senior sister from the Taishu sect. The Taishu sect? Wang Dun shuddered. Is it from your Shouju peak? He Pingsheng nodded, a senior sister surnamed Zhao. I haven't seen her for 60 years. Last time I sent people to look for her, but they couldn't find her. I never expected that I would be arrested by the royal family of Qi. Hateful. He Pingsheng thought about it more. Zhao Linga is now confirmed to be in the hands of the Qi royal family. But what about Master Yu Ning? Where is Master Uncle Yu Xian? And then there's Xu Kunlun, Chen Xiaoqing. Where are they all? Could they have all been arrested? What does it mean that the state of Qi is sending me this? What? In the main hall, Zhenyu looked shocked. You're going to find Long Yuan of Qi? Yes. He Pingxing said, "Something has happened, I need to go find him and ask him to find out. We can't wait a moment longer. However, please rest assured, Xianxia. No matter what, under no circumstances will I betray the interests of Liang, and I will absolutely not make any concessions to them in the Nine Kingdoms tournament." He Pingxing's gaze was intense. He wanted to ask Long Yuan, but he had to inform Xianxia about it beforehand. Otherwise, Xianxia would think that he had some kind of exchange of benefits with the state of Qi. "How about this?" Xianxia said, "I'll go with you." "No need." He Pingxing waved his hand. "No need to trouble you, Xianxia. My senior brother and I can go together. They're all old stories. Even Long Yuan can't do anything to me." "Yes." Xianxia said, "After all, this is a sacred mountain. If Long Yuan dares to lay a hand on you, I can kill every single person from Qi with a single slap. Go ahead." After obtaining Xianxia's permission, He Pingxing took Wang Dun with him, and the two of them entered the villa of the state of Qi. Presented at dawn, ladies, let's also give some love and energy. Chapter 417 Change of Heart. If a fight really breaks out later. Wang Dun said, following He Pingxing, "Don't forget to crush the teleportation talisman and leave immediately." He's scared. They feared that the state of Qi might risk everything for the sake of a single prefecture. He Pingxing shook his head and said, "Don't worry, the state of Qi wouldn't dare to defy the world." He Pingxing was not afraid of Long Yuan's attack. Don't forget, back when he was at the 5th level of the Golden Core stage, he had already killed Ancestor Ruo Kai. Even though Long Yuan was stronger, he couldn't do anything to He Pingxing. Of course, there is also an old ancestor in the nascent soul stage from the state of Qi here. If this person makes a move, He Pingxing will definitely not be able to escape. But if the nascent soul cultivator really wanted to deal with him, He Pingxing wouldn't survive even if he didn't go. He could be killed with a single slap. Of course, under normal circumstances, if a nascent soul ancestor dared to attack a participating disciple, one can easily imagine the consequences. The sacred mountain's reputation was essentially humiliated. Therefore, it basically does not exist. But He Pingxing still held onto the teleportation talisman. Just in case. The two arrived at the Qi Kingdom's camp and were quickly taken to the Long Yuan Palace. "Wang Dun, you can go out first." Long Yuan waved his hand, "He Pingxing and I have something to say." Wang Dun turned and left. Only He Pingxing and Long Yuan remained in the entire hall. "Long time no see." Long Yuan said calmly, his expression and words equally indifferent. "We've been old friends for a while now." He Pingxing asked, "Where is my senior sister? Why did you arrest her?" Hehehe. Long Yuan chuckled, "He Pingxing, this world is not as full of justice and fairness as you think. As a royal family with immense power, if he fails to achieve what he wants, he will resort to all sorts of means. For example, they might capture your senior sister, senior brother, and even your master. Isn't the Jade Ning Immortal on Xiuzhu Peak of the Taishu sect your master?" "That's right." He Pingxing nodded. "Don't get agitated." Long Yuan said, "They're still alive and well. Originally, I captured them to find you, because at that time you took our Qi Kingdom's heavenly deficiency divine spear, and you were also suspected of being a person of great fortune. You know what happened next. I saw you undergoing the Golden Core tribulation at the entrance of the 5 Dragon Valley secret realm. After we learned that you were undergoing a 3rd-grade heavenly tribulation, our royal family lost interest in you. We need to capture Wang Dun. At that time, I thought about releasing your sect members, but then I realized that the heavenly deficiency divine spear was still in your hands, so I thought about using your sect members as a bargaining chip to exchange with you. It just so happens that I found out you're in this 9 Kingdoms tournament, so on my way here, I casually chopped off your senior sister's arm. But don't worry, I cut off her arm just so you would see it and believe that I really did capture them. If you obediently listen to me, there are plenty of miraculous pills and elixirs in the cultivation world that can help her regenerate her severed arm." Long Yuan wasn't lying about that. As far as He Pingxing knew, Many third-grade pills and even second-grade pills could allow cultivators to regenerate severed arms. Moreover, elixirs are not particularly precious. Release them. He Pingxing's face was terribly gloomy. He looked at Long Yuan and said, "There are grudges between us, between me and the Qi kingdom. Over the years, you have forced me to wander around without a fixed home, and forced me to the brink of death several times. I don't care about any of these things." He Pingxing took a deep breath. "As long as you release my sect, I can wipe the slate clean of everything that happened before. From now on, I will have no further connection with your Qi kingdom and will not commit any offense against you." "Impossible." Long Yuan sneered. "If you were truly a person of great fortune, we might be a little afraid of you. But you are just an ordinary person who has just experienced the tribulation lightning of the third 9 heavens. Do you think our great Qi kingdom can be threatened by a mere golden core cultivator like you? He Pingxing, you've got your weight wrong. I brought you here today to give you tasks, not to point fingers at me." Long Yuan stood with his hands behind his back, his massive sleeves almost reaching the ground. "Of all the contestants from Liang Kingdom, only you remain. Starting tomorrow, I will make you lose. If you lose, then the Liang Kingdom will lose. I keep my promise. Not only will I release your entire sect, but I will also no longer pursue the matter of the missing divine spear. That's all. Go back and think about it carefully. You should know what the consequences will be if you don't agree, right? Go." Long Yuan waved his hand. He Pingxing walked out of his main hall without saying a word. "Junior brother, how is it?" Wang Dun followed behind He Pingxing. He Pingxing said, "It's nothing. Phew. Let's talk about it tomorrow." He didn't want to say too much to Wang Dun, so he went back to his hut on his own. "Deactivate the formation and continue your cultivation." The next morning, they returned to the competition venue. "Everyone." The host stood before the crowd, looking at the more than 100 people sitting below the stage, and said, "Everyone watched yesterday's match between Liang and Qi. There's a special situation here. The state of Qi has submitted an application to the Sacred Mountain, requesting a rematch. The reason is that Xianxia was exhausted from challenging 9 contestants from Liang Kingdom yesterday, which is why he lost to He Pingxing. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. This is neither Xiaoxian's true combat strength nor the true power of the Qi Kingdom. Therefore, we submitted an application to this sacred mountain. I believe that while this application has some merit, it also violates the relevant regulations of the competition. Because a loss is a loss, and a win is a win. But, a competition is ultimately a matter for both sides. I'd like to ask He Pingxing of Liang. Do you agree to a rematch with Xiaoxian? If you do not agree, then Qi's application is invalid. If you agree, then you can have another match with Xiaoxian." These words caused an uproar, both in Liang and other countries. In layman's terms, the state of Qi does not accept yesterday's result and wants to start over. The Holy Mountain's attitude is, "It's your own business, as long as you all agree, I have no objection. If you disagree, then we'll use yesterday's score." He. Zhenyu Zhanren chuckled coldly and said, "Qi Kingdom is shameless, this is wishful thinking." "That is shameless." All the people of Liang were filled with righteous indignation. Long Yuan looked at He Pingxing with a faint smile in his eyes. He Pingxing stood up calmly and said, "Fine, I agree." "What?" Zhenyu asked in disbelief. You brat, what are you doing?" He was somewhat puzzled. Liang Huaqiu, standing nearby, was much more direct. She jumped up and asked, "He Pingxing, what do you mean? Why should we agree? You went to the state of Qi yesterday, did you accept?" "Shut up." Zhenyu's face darkened. "Girl, don't talk nonsense. I believe He Pingxing. Let him go." Zhenyu waved his hand. "Hey kid, fight well. I believe in you, you will definitely win against Xiaoxian again." He Pingxing smiled and said, "Of course." Chapter 418. He asked about saving people after He Pingxing took the stage. Ancestor Zhenyu sighed deeply. Actually, he didn't really trust He Pingxing that much. Moreover, he also had every opportunity to refuse the other party's request. After all, he was the team leader. As long as he doesn't agree to the competition, the rematch in Qi cannot proceed. But he didn't do that. Why? It's very simple. If He Pingxing really colluded with the other side, then what's the point of not letting him compete with Xiaoxian again? Because there are 9 more people from the Qi kingdom behind Xiaoxian. If He Pingxing deliberately loses a match later, the state of Qi will win. So, it's unnecessary. Rather than offending He Pingxing, it's better to be open and honest. Yesterday He Pingxing went to the villa in Qi state. There must be some shady deal going on. Liang Huaqiu said angrily. Zhenyu shook his head and said, not necessarily. Let's see. On the arena. In the small world. It's still the same valley. He Pingxing was surprised to find that the damage they had caused to the valley during yesterday's battle had been completely repaired today. Is this even possible? After taking a quick look around the world, He Pingxing's gaze returned to Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian no longer spouted the nonsense he had yesterday, nor did he display the arrogance he had displayed. He knew very well that he was no match for He Pingxing. The reason he was standing here today was because Lord Longyuan had told him that He Pingxing would definitely let him win. He doesn't like things that are given to him. They even despise them. There's nothing we can do about it. For the sake of Qi's victory, he had no choice but to accept this humiliation. Oh! He Pingxing said, not as talkative today. HMPH. Xiaoxian was quick to respond, if you want to fight, then fight. Stop with the nonsense. Hehehe. He Pingxing said, you shouldn't have come today. You'll regret this. After saying that, he waved his hand forward. Countless ice attribute mana surged forth from He Pingxing's body, accompanied by boundless ice attribute Tao principles. The surrounding space was empty, and snowflakes drifted down. The whole world has become a world of ice and snow. Supernatural power, heavenly snow locks the boundary. Now that it's being unleashed, the power of the heavenly snow lock realm is even greater. Last time, he used this supernatural power to break through the 10th dragon platform defensive formation of the Liang Kingdom's capital. Later, he spent 3 months in the royal spiritual pool to cultivate his Daoist arts, and his understanding of Daoist arts doubled. Therefore, the power of the heavenly snow lock realm has naturally reached a new level. When the supernatural power was unleashed, the world changed color. Damn it, what kind of divine power is this? Xiaoxian, being in the icy and snowy landscape, could feel the power of this divine power even more. He felt like he was walking on the edge of death. But Xiaoxian was, after all, a chosen one of heaven, an unparalleled genius. Bang! The next moment, a shield condensed around his body. The moment the shield materialized, 2 snowflakes, each about 3 feet in size, flew out from the dark, cold wind and sliced straight at him. The shield shattered instantly. Then, 4 snowflakes flew in from 4 directions. Xiaoxian is still able to handle things with ease. But as time went on, the number of snowflakes increased. 4 pieces. 8 pieces. 16 pieces. The magical power within He Pingxing's body continuously transformed into ice attribute magical power, surging forth in a powerful and turbulent manner. Gradually, Xiaoxian began to struggle. We can't handle it. Finally, after he had almost exhausted his spiritual power to shatter 64 snowflakes, 128 snowflakes reformed. 128 snowflakes, a fatal blow. It doesn't matter if we can't kill them, because there are still 256 pieces left. He Pingxing's current magical power can only support up to 256 pieces. If his magical power is sufficient, the limit of this supernatural ability is 18,000 pieces. Of course, that's only when you're extremely powerful. It would take at least until the nascent soul stage, and even then, it might not be possible to condense 18,000 snowflakes. 128 snowflakes, carrying a sharp attack, blasted towards Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian opened his mouth, wanting to surrender. Unfortunately, the wind and snow were too strong, and his voice could not be heard at all. He could only watch helplessly as countless snowflakes tore towards him. Just when Xianxia thought he was doomed, a bluish-white light suddenly ignited on his body. With a bang, it transformed into a shield. The snow-covered mountains and the magical power of the heavenly snow-locking realm outside all vanished. The sky cleared, and He Pingxing's figure came into view. There is one more person. An elderly man with white hair and a white beard was standing next to Xianxia. He was the one who just saved Xianxia. He asked the ancestor. Upon seeing this person, the host was utterly astonished. With a thud, the host knelt on the ground. The rest of the countless people also bowed to the old man. "Have you seen him?" asked the ancestor. He Pingxing's eyes narrowed, and he took 10 steps back, pinching a talisman in his hand. The old man chuckled and said, "Little friend, we meet again. Logically speaking, I shouldn't have made a move today. But if I don't make a move, a great talent in this world will be lost at your hands, and he will surely die. So after careful consideration, I decided to step in and save him. You owed me a favor back then. You won't go back on your word, will you?" The white-haired old man stared at He Pingxing. He Pingxing nodded and said, "Yes. Thank you for your guidance, senior." The old man nodded. "It's good that you remember. I'll use this favor to offset the cost of my help today. How about that?" He Pingxing took a deep breath, cupped his hands in a gesture of respect, and said, "Yes, I am completely convinced." Good, good, good. He. As expected of the strongest golden core cultivator in the entire cultivation world throughout history. He. With a wave of his hand, the old man vanished. Everyone was stunned. What's the meaning? He just asked what the ancestor said? He said. Xianxia asked, "Fellow Daoist, he is the strongest golden core cultivator in the cultivation world." He had been somewhat unconvinced by He Pingxing before, but after witnessing one of He Pingxing's supernatural abilities, he was now convinced. But is it really possible to be the strongest in the cultivation world? No. Liang Huaqiu corrected. He asked the ancestor what he meant, that he is the strongest golden core cultivator in the entire history of cultivation. Hiss. Reflecting on his question to the ancestor, everyone was shocked. Only Long Yuan's face was completely black. He thought that He Pingxing, having been coerced by him, would show mercy today. But this kid not only showed no mercy, he also used a killing move. "Do you want to kill the people of my Qi state? This. What's the meaning? Did you show this to me on purpose?" Liang Guo, He Pingxing wins. The host said, "Next, He Pingxing, do you plan to continue the challenge, or will you challenge again tomorrow?" He Pingxing said, "Continue." After saying that, he added, "Today, we will fight until the state of Qi is completely defeated." Chapter 4 19 consecutive slashes. After stepping off the stage, He Pingxing sat cross-legged in his seat. He closed his eyes and didn't speak to anyone. The surrounding air was deathly silent. However, both Ancestor Zhenyu and Liang Huaqiu breathed a sigh of relief. Moreover, both of them had joy on their faces. They originally thought that He Pingxing was making a deal with the state of Qi, but they didn't expect that He Pingxing would be so ruthless today, and that he would take the other party's life as soon as he made his move. As for why this happened, Zhenyu and Liang Huaqiu didn't understand. But Wang Dun, who was standing nearby, understood. "Young man, do you still know him?" asked the old ancestor. Zhenyu suddenly asked. Now everyone else's attention turned to curiosity. He Pingxing and Wen Laozu had just exchanged a few words, but even from those few words, everyone could tell that He Pingxing and Wen Laozu knew each other. Yes, He Pingxing does know him. Actually, I wouldn't say I know them, I can only say I've met them. Back then, at the Skull Mountain Trade Fair, he went to buy some materials to refine the Spirit Nourishing Pill, in order to rebuild Xiao Huizhu's spiritual root and meridians. At that time, he encountered an old man selling jade slips. The old man's stall displayed thousands of jade slips, selling various martial arts techniques. When others asked him where he got so many cultivation techniques, the old man replied, "The sect went bankrupt." He Pingxing also squatted down in front of the stall to buy something, but he didn't find anything he liked. At this moment, the old man casually tossed He Pingxing a divine sense ability called Wind of Divine Sense. After cultivation, this thing can condense an invisible wind of divine thought to disrupt the opponent's sea of consciousness. Later, He Pingxing enhanced the jade slip technique by placing it in the treasure basin, transforming it into two techniques, the formless Big Dipper Nail and the 9 shields of the Purple Mansion technique. So here's the question. The old man's seemingly meaningless actions were actually very purposeful. He must have been able to tell that He Pingxing possessed powerful divine sense and had cultivated the refining God technique, otherwise he wouldn't have given him that divine sense ability. Therefore, it's not wrong to say that He Pingxing owes him a favor. Yes, Senior. He Pingxing said, "Years ago, I encountered Master Hawen, who was traveling in the mortal world. Master Hawen gave me a cultivation technique, so." Ancestor Genu nodded and played cards. What a coincidence. This is truly your lucky break, he. Half an incense stick later, He Pingxing stepped back into the arena. The cultivator from Qi who ranked second also went up onto the arena. This was a tall man who politely bowed to He Pingxing and said, "Please have mercy. Fellow Daoist, you may begin. Open." As soon as the Qi Kingdom cultivator finished speaking, he immediately activated his full defense. This time, He Pingxing once again waved his hand, and countless wood elemental energies flew out. In an instant, a 30 jong long, approximately 13 meters, sphere of poisonous thorns was formed. However, no attack was launched. It's just a matter of accumulating toxins. When countless flowers bloomed on the 30 jong long poisonous thorn cage, tens of thousands of poisonous needles, guided by He Pingxing's divine sense, blasted towards the Qi Kingdom cultivator. Puff, puff, puff. The poison needles quickly broke through all the opponent's restrictions, and then the remaining poison needles, with a whoosh, all pierced into his body. By the time He Pingxing put away the Sacred Wood Poison Dragon technique, the Qi Kingdom cultivator was already lying unconscious on the ground. The Liang Kingdom congratulates He Pingxing on his victory. The host raised his hand and shouted. Then several Qi disciples rushed inside in a panic, and one of them exclaimed in alarm, "Elder, something's wrong. He's dead." "What? Dead? This?" Long Yuan stared at He Pingxing with a livid face. He sensed a surge of rage. "I was thinking of threatening this kid yesterday, but I didn't expect it to provoke his murderous intent instead. This? Oh no. Continue." On the other side, He Pingxing raised the continue sign again. He rested and meditated for a while. Then, the third match began. The third one from the state of Qi was a woman. The woman was tall and slender, possessed considerable cultivation, and was also quite beautiful. As soon as she entered, she nervously cupped her hands in greeting to He Pingxing. "This humble woman is certainly no match for you, fellow Daoist. Please show mercy." He Pingxing looked at her calmly and said, "Fine, if you're afraid of dying, you can surrender now. If you don't surrender, you'll regret it." The woman's face turned pale with anger, and she said, "We have no grudge against each other, why do you have to kill me?" He Pingxing said, "I've already said it, you can surrender. Open." The woman was not about to surrender. She waved her hands, and 2 soft whips flew out, instantly growing to over 10 feet long, twitching in the air like 2 thin snakes. This is not a real soft whip, but merely a supernatural power condensed by the woman's spiritual energy. This supernatural ability is no simple feat. It is not only effective in both offense and defense, but also allows one to use it to teleport and change shape at crucial moments. Strike first. He Pingxing did not dodge the attack. A yellowish-brown shield of light suddenly burst open around him, and then he waved his hand. The 5 elements are mixed together. Under the influence of the 5 elements' unified force, 7 black ice arrows were formed. Spell, Frost Arrows. Go! He Pingxing gave a soft shout, and 7 arrows flew towards the woman. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. At the same time, with a snap, the woman's whip struck He Pingxing. The shield on He Pingxing's body was torn apart by the whip, and then the shield blocked 50% of the force of the whip. The remaining 50% of the power fell on He Pingxing, but there was nothing they could do. After all, he was a body-refining cultivator. Although he had only cultivated the 9 poisons refined golden body technique to the second level of the golden core stage, He Pingxing could still withstand this whip strike weakened by the earth armor technique. On the other side, the woman was in a very bad state. Puff! The first black ice arrow shattered all her attacks and defenses, and with its remaining force, it pierced the woman's abdomen. Blood rained down. She was killed before she could even utter the word surrender. The remaining 6 black ice arrows vanished instantly, transforming back into ice spiritual energy and returning to He Pingxing's body. In that attack, He Pingxing used only one of the 7 ice arrows to kill the woman. It can be said that this strike, which contained the power of the 5 elements in one, was the strongest strike He Pingxing had unleashed since taking the stage. Outside, a smile appeared on Genyu's face. On the Qi side, Long Yuan's face was ashen. What to do? Should we fight or not? 2 of them have already been killed by that scoundrel He Pingxing. If we continue playing and get crushed by him again, even with 2 substitutes, we won't have enough players to make 10. If we surrender, there's still a chance. After all, Xianxia is still alive. With Xianxia around, winning the subsequent matches shouldn't be a big problem. Chapter 4:20 Crushing Dragon Abyss. Not only Long Yuan. The other contestants below were also trembling with fear. What's the point of fighting? Once they get up there, they'll kill you instantly with a single move, giving you no chance to surrender. Still want to fight? He looked at Long Yuan one by one, his face full of longing. Long Yuan could naturally read the longing in their eyes. I'm sorry. Long Yuan stood up, cupped his hands in greeting to the host, and said, the Liang Kingdom is powerful, and we, the Qi Kingdom, know we are no match for them. I give up. Buzzing. These words immediately sparked a flurry of discussion among the crowd. But it's understandable. After all, He Pingxing's methods were far too powerful. All right. The host nodded, then said, it should be noted that in today's first match, if it weren't for the intervention of the ancestor, Xianxia, the contestant from Qi, would already be dead. So, although Xianxia is not dead, from the perspective of the competition, he no longer exists. The patriarch said that, in order to ensure fairness and impartiality to the later participants and participating countries, Xianxia's participation qualification has been cancelled. Please be aware. The host smiled as he looked at Long Yuan. Long Yuan's face was ashen. This seems far too inhumane. Without Xianxia, how would we fight the rest of the battle? How could we possibly win? He. The host said, if Xianxia were to go on stage, the other countries would have objections. That's right. We have objections. Why should someone who should have died in the arena be allowed to return to the ring? Exactly. It's good enough that we're alive. There's no way we can continue competing. It's obvious what other countries' attitudes are. Let's go. Long Yuan angrily led his men away from the scene. Let's go too. Ancestor Genyu chuckled and led his men back to the villa. He was in a particularly good mood today, and looking at He Pingxing with a smile, he said, well done. Putting everything else aside, this time we won against Qi and got Shandong County. He Pingxing. You have rendered a great service to the state of Qi. I will petition the ancestor to grant the newly acquired Shandong prefecture as a fiefdom to the princess. What do you think? Genyu glanced at He Pingxing, then at Liang Huaqiu. Liang Huaqiu's face immediately turned bright red. The old ancestor's words almost led to the famous General Liang Huaqiu being given to He Pingxing as his concubine. Shouldn't being someone's concubine be a shameful thing? Why do I feel a little happy? And this guy, he looks so ordinary, shouldn't I reject him in my heart? At this moment, Liang Huaqiu had confused herself. Senior. He Pingxing cupped his hands in greeting. Let's talk about these things when we get back. Qi lost Shandong County this time, Who knows what kind of trouble they'll cause? Whether it can be received smoothly is another matter. Zhenyu said, "That's true." He Pingxing said, "This junior will go down first. I still need to go to the Qi Kingdom Villa." After saying that, he went downstairs and from the Liang Kingdom Villa to the Qi Kingdom Villa. Inside the main hall of Long Yuan, the two stood facing each other. Long Yuan didn't even invite He Pingxing to sit down. But it doesn't matter. He Pingxing didn't come here to sit down and chat with Long Yuan. Okay. Upon seeing He Pingxing, Long Yuan exclaimed, "Good," 3 times in a row. He Pingxing, what a mess you've made. Aren't you worried about your master, and your senior sisters and brothers? He Pingxing said, "The situation has now been clarified. I'm not some kind of lucky person. Also, that day, the legendary sharpshooter is rightfully mine now. It's getting a bit unreasonable for the state of Qi to continue detaining my disciples." "Of course," He Pingxing said calmly, "I don't expect you to release them, and releasing them isn't the style of your Qi kingdom. I've come here today only to tell you one thing." Long Yuan said impatiently, "Speak." A cold smile appeared on He Pingxing's face. "My master, Yu Ning, is like a mother to me. Her kindness is as heavy as a mountain. My senior brothers and sisters are as close as brothers and sisters. I will be very sad if you kill them." "Of course." He Pingxing smiled again. "Although I will be sad, I will absolutely not be coerced by you in any way. You can order your men to kill them right now. They're dreaming if they think they can use their lives to threaten me in any way. Lord Long Yuan, you must have family members too. If I go to the state of Qi, it shouldn't be difficult to find out about your relatives. What do you want to do?" A cold smile appeared on Long Yuan's face. "Could it be that you want to kidnap my family to threaten me? You mere golden core cultivator? I could destroy you with a flick of my wrist." He Pingxing ignored him and continued, "After this 9 Kingdoms Grand Competition, I will listen to the Tao for 10 years. When I return to the capital of Liang Kingdom 10 years later, I hope to see my master and the others, and I want them all to be here." After saying that, He Pingxing turned and left. However, just as he reached the entrance of the main hall and was about to step out, he suddenly turned back and said, "You just said you could destroy me with a flick of your wrist." Long Yuan said, "Isn't that right?" A slight smile curved the corners of He Pingxing's mouth. Within his sea of consciousness, 6 of the 7 divine nails he had been nurturing suddenly pierced out. 6 invisible divine nails pierced into Long Yuan's sea of consciousness with lightning speed. Puff. Puff puff puff. Long Yuan staggered back 3 steps, spitting out 4 mouthfuls of blood. At this moment, his face was deathly pale. 90% of his consciousness sea had been destroyed. He Pingxing didn't use his full strength just now. Otherwise, with the force of that attack, he would have surely died. Ku Heping doesn't want to kill him yet. On one hand, this guy has a master on his side. On the other hand, he asked Xianxia, and since he killed the other side's leader here, it will be difficult for him to escape. Puff, puff puff puff. After He Pingxing left the main hall, Long Yuan immediately spat out several more mouthfuls of blood. Damn it, damn it. He slowly got up from the ground, then sat down in his seat, his face pale. A sudden realization dawned on him. This guy, with only the golden core stage cultivation, actually possesses such powerful divine sense? And he's even cultivated that divine sense ability? It seems that the divine sense attack outside the 5 Dragon Valley secret realm back then didn't come from anyone else. It came from He Pingxing. That's him. Hiss hiss hiss. Has this child grown up to this extent? Even I am no match for him. Long Yuan's body trembled, and his hands trembled as well. On one hand, it was because of the injury to his divine sense, and on the other hand, it was because he was shocked by He Pingxing's combat power and growth rate. But how is that possible? He's clearly just a piece of trash from the 3-9 heavenly tribulation. Long Yuan was completely baffled. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.